Hello, my name is Cristina Romera Castillo, and I'm working in the Marine Science Institute in Barcelona, in Spain. I'm a researcher there, and well, I'm here to answer all the questions you have. Okay, well, since I was a kid, I was very curious to understand how everything works, especially how the world, the planet works. So I used to read a lot and also to watch documentaries and wondering about things, about all the time asking my parents and my teachers about things. So I guess that I have these things since I was a kid, but I still didn't know I want to be a scientist because at that moment I didn't know, I had no contact with scientists. I didn't know, I didn't have anyone in my family or close to me, so I wasn't sure what a scientist did or used to do. But I think that curiosity was there, and with time I decided I love science, and I started to do some research, and then I decided I like it and decide to take that pathway.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I was actually, before to decide what studies to do in the university, I was hesitating between science and other studies. And at the end, I decided science because I thought, well, science is something that if I don't do it now, it's very difficult to do it in the future, no? Because other things you can do it later if you like. But for science, it was like, no, I'm gonna do this and then decide. But you can study science, but then you cannot, it's possible that you study science and then you don't become a scientist in the academia. You could be a scientist in a company or do other things that are not research, is that I mean. So the things that I realized I wanted to do the research because at the end of my studies in chemistry, that I studied chemistry, I start to do some research in the university to collaborate with a group there. And I realized that I love it because it was very interesting, and it was very, like, it was fun because you were changing every day. It wasn't boring at all. And I decided that I want to keep doing science and research, I mean, because it was exciting, because you have questions and you can try to answer through experiment or through evidence, and I think it's very cool. Well, the situation is pretty bad. Also, the problem is that we don't know how bad it is, because that we have seen now is that it's bad, but probably it's worse, because the things that we cannot count all the plastic that is in the ocean, because the plastic that have been there counted is the one that is floating. So there are many studies counting that floating plastic, but that is just 1% of the plastic that are reach the ocean. So the rest probably is sinking or sunk in the bottom, or is ingested by animals, or maybe it's too small to be collected by the instrument that we use to collect the sample of plastic, because these are nets. So if the plastic is smaller than the net, it passes through the net and it's not count. So this is the thing, that we don't really know where is the 90% of the plastic that reaches the ocean and in which size it is, because it's degrade and become smaller and smaller, become microplastic, even nanoplastic. So it's very difficult to count it. That I'm doing in my research is to study the impact of that plastic in the ocean, in the marine ecosystem, and also try to find solution to to remove it, not to degrade it. So, for example, we study like how the plastic release additives and other chemical compounds once it's in the ocean, and we have seen that those additives affect the bacteria, marine bacteria that are there, and they are affecting other microorganisms that are in the ocean, and this can have also an effect in the carbon cycle. So the carbon cycle is this cycle where the carbon is moving from one pool to another. I mean, from the atmosphere to the ocean to the soil. So there is this carbon cycle, and this is connected to climate. So it's very important to understand this carbon cycle, to understand also the climate and how to fight climate change, or global warming more. So what that we want to know as well is if the plastic is affecting that carbon cycle, because it's releasing carbon compounds. And also we want to understand if there are bacteria that are having those carbon compounds, because I mean, we found that they are, but we want to know which bacteria are those, because maybe we could use them in the future to biodegrade the plastic. Yeah. Yeah, it's worsening because, well, first of all, the masks are made of plastic. They are polypropylene, and many of them end in the ocean or in the environment. So this creates a problem that it wasn't before. But there is another thing, is that before the pandemic situation, I think that we gave a step forward in the reducing the waste, the plastic waste, and reducing single-use plastic. Like, for example, now the European Union has forbidden the single-use plastic. But now with the pandemic situation, the problem is that more things are coming like wrapped on plastic. Yes. Because people is scared of having the virus. Yes. So exactly. I mean, there is this risk since we don't know yet how. Yeah. So there are much more items that come wrapped in plastic. Even food that before wasn't. Now it's wrapped on plastic as well. So yeah, now in this sense, we gave a step back regarding the plastic waste. Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is to avoid the waste, to generate the waste, because this is, I mean, every waste make an impact in the environment. So if you don't generate it, you don't make this impact, no? Because even if you recycle, that is a good thing, but it also has an impact. So the best thing would be to avoid to generate the waste. So for example, to avoid single-use plastic if you can, and also, yeah, use things that you can reuse, like 70 years ago, when our grandparents didn't have plastic and they used caps or or glass bottles, or I mean, the life was it was fine without plastic. Yes. But now we got used to the plastic, and we have to maybe change our mind and think more, like be more aware of that. Also, like I would say that to the girls, that every time, everybody in general, that every time you take a plastic item, to think if how long I'm gonna use this, and for how long it's gonna be in the environment, or how long it's gonna take to be degraded. Because sometimes we use some object for 10 minutes, and then they're gonna last in the environment for years, for decades, So this is something that we should be more aware every time we use some plastic things, to think, okay, for how long I'm gonna use this? Can I use another thing instead of this, instead of plastic? But it's the same with plastic and other object that of single-use object, not only plastic, also like paper. Now some people is substituting the plastic with paper or carton. And this is also, I mean, because we are many people in the world, so if we use all that carton, it's gonna be also a mess for the trees, like for the forest. So that's why I say the best thing is to avoid the waste and reuse. Yeah, I mean, that is better because it's degrade much faster, much easily. but everything has an impact. I still think that it's better to avoid the waste, but it's true that we can avoid like always, because we have to, you know, have clothes and things. For example, one of the things that the first thing that produce more microplastic that are coming from us to the ocean is the laundry of the clothes. Every time you wash some clothes, it releases a lot of fibers, and they are super small, so they pass through the filter of the washing machine and in the ocean.
Okay.
So this is something, yeah, but we have to, of course, have clothes, but maybe if we use like organic clothes or more cotton, or that are not polyester clothes, or because there are many clothes now that are based on plastics.
Yes.
So if we avoid that, then also we can do something, no, for that. But yeah, I mean, it's better to use an alternative, a natural alternative, than the plastic. Okay, so well, that I have seen and I use, it's very important to have computing skills, because to analyze that data, this is very important in science and in many careers. And I think it's something very cool, because sometimes can be scary at the beginning, because you don't know how to. It seems very, very difficult. But I think that if you are not afraid to it, and you start to study that, I think you can, it's very cool, because it's like to me, for example, that is like to it's like meditation, because I completely forget about the work
Forget
around.
the time,
When I'm programming, for example, I forget everything. I like focus, and I think it's very cool once you get used to, no, you learn it. I know that at the beginning it can be scary, can be like, can cause rejection of the people people saying, oh, I don't want to, this is too difficult. But I would say to just go for it, because then it's very useful, and it's very and it will give you a lot of it will open you a lot of pathways in your career, in many career, no, in science and in other. Also, like, for example, communication skills are also very important, because it's very important to know how to transmit your message, and to a wide, a broad public, no? So this is another skill that I also would recommend to the girls to also develop, because sometimes in science and in other disciplines, there is a lack of women communicating. And I think we need more women also communicating science and other things. So I think this is another skill that could be very useful for them. And I try to also to practice, because I think it's very important.
Yeah.
I would say don't put limits yourself, and just go for whatever you want. Just don't listen people telling you that you are not able to do it, or that you are not because you're a woman, or because whatever reason, or because it's too difficult. Some people discourage you, saying, this is too difficult, blah, blah. No, just go for it and apply to everything, every fellowship, every career you like, or whatever. Don't let anyone to stop you.